obviously money is a huge concern, especially for smaller organizations that are now going to be facing these compliance requirements. So you came up with a list of a couple of items that can help with saving time and money.
Yeah. So reducing complexity, what I mean by that is, if I ask you, hey, give me a list of all the people that work in your company, and let's say it's 50 people. And I say, how many of these people need to access CUI? The right answer is not everybody. Maybe it's the real answer, but I want to make everything as simple as possible. If I can get it down to 5 people, I want to get it down to 5 people. If I can get it down to 4 computers out of 50, I want to get it down to 4. If I want to get it down to 1 enclave, which is coming up system, I want to get it down to 1 information system. And we're going to force everybody to store their CUI there. Doing those things not only helps people actually know where CUI is with confidence, which you're required to do, but also makes things cheaper, right? It's a whole lot easier for me to secure a environment with 4 computers out of 50 than it is 50 out of 50. And it's just common sense, right? So you want to make it at least complex as possible. And that goes to the second point with accurate scoping. So in the previous slide, we were talking about scoping going everywhere, and Curtis is coming up with all these scenarios, right? But now we're starting to pare it down. We're going to say, okay, this is what you're doing today. Let's talk about how we can make it as simple as possible. In a perfect world, there's one place it comes in and one place it goes out. That world doesn't exist for almost any client, but maybe it's 2 and 2, not 6, maybe 10. We want to get that as we want to create the scope we want and then enforce it. We want to make it accurate. We want to make what you said your scope is 100% true. And then you can get into enclaving. Enclaving is just a fancy word for saying we're going to build a small environment, not just reducing the complexity for your the number of computers that have exposure, but a lot of times we're using a third-party application to do the enclaving. Someplace that we know meets all of the CMMC/NIST 800-171 controls that we could store all CUI in, because now I'm just training users, right? I mean, there's still some technical stuff we have to do, but I'm training users. Hey, Jill, you got CUI. Where does it go? Into the enclave. Dave, somebody brought in a USB drive. My instructions are to copy this up to the enclave, right? Like, that's what I want. And you can do that enclave and make things a whole lot better. Now, the very next point there is it's not a magic bullet. And I like to say that because enclaving is getting a lot of popularity out on the internet, and you cannot just go buy. Like, if you Google, and don't do it, if you Google CUI enclave, you're going to get results. And they're going to be like, we can have you CMMC compliant in 72 hours. What they mean is they can have their environment CUI compliant in 72 hours. It better already be CUI compliant, right? But that doesn't mean that you're using it effectively. There's tons of stuff in 800-171 and CMMC that have very little to do with the technical side of their cloud environment, right? Has a lot more to do with training, has a lot more to do with, physical flow, physical access controls, disaster recovery. Yeah. Policy procedures.
Yeah.
Right. So don't get trapped by that. It's not a fix all, but it is a really effective way when implemented correctly to save money and make things simple.